I know you're expecting to hear the episode begin just like we always do, but we're about to switch things up. This is a 200th episode. Like, I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited to have you here. So we saved this episode because it's one of the best episodes that you're ever going to listen to, especially when it comes to health and wellness. We're going to be featuring Kadi, an amazing person who is doing amazing things in the business world when it comes to integrative medicine. When you think about health, wellness, mindset, everything that revolves around us, how we wake up in the morning, what we're able to do with our day, this is the podcast for you. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to celebrate with you. And by celebrating with you, this is what we're going to do. Last year, I decided to go through a premium podcast platform to now bring content and bring it fully to you, and having like exclusive interviews with different people in different entertainment industries. So this episode right here is the 200th episode. After this episode, make sure that you're able to check the link in the description, because when you hear something like that, you just know, yep, it's time to do it. It's time to go. It's time to make this happen. So what are we talking about here? Before we get right into it, make sure you are able to understand that the premium podcast is going to offer you more value for your time. And how you want to find that out is check out wedon'tplay.supercast.tech. That's wedon'tplay.supercast.tech. Now, before we get right into it, make sure that you check out that website before you tune into this podcast. And as you tune into this podcast episode, enjoy everything Kadi is going to tell you, because she has an amazing surprise for you at the end. So make sure you stick till the end to listen to what she has to say, because today is a great day the Lord has made, and we're going to be rejoicing and be glad in it. So let's go. Let's go. Off to you, Kadi. Now you're welcome to the episode. We don't play. Hello, Kadi.
Hello, Favor.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a good morning here in California. I'm about to go to my clinic after this. It's going well. How are you doing?
I'm good. This is amazing. You know, it's 9 a.m. in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm just excited for the day. You know, everybody's waking up and getting ready, and it feels very good. You know, it feels like there's a lot going on, and we have been able to go through a process of understanding what we need to do with our day. And that's why we're up early and we're making this commitment. So I would love people to know more about you, what you do, and we're going to get right into it because we have exciting news for you guys to listen to.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on, Favor. My name is Kadiatou Sibi, and I am an Ayurvedic practitioner. And I also do Reiki, and I do yoga and meditation consultations. So ultimately, I work with you and your family to help you get to your ultimate optimal health. So I do that through consultations. I do that through, as I said, herbs and meditation, and maybe some movements that can help you be the best person that you are.
That's amazing. I think these are practical steps that people should be taking every day, but because of time constraint, because of demands, they probably don't have time to. So how do you tell someone that doesn't have that time to really focus on what they need the most as an essential need?
So I love the words that you just used. Essential need, time, making time for themselves, right? So that it's about priorities. And I help people see what's a priority in their life. Who's a priority in their life? What is their goal in life? How long do you want to live? How do you want to live when you get older? When we have that as a focus, and we can say, okay, this is how I'd like to feel when I get up. This is how I'd like to feel when I'm interacting with myself and my others and my colleagues. I want to be my best. How can I do that? So these are the tools that you can use. You know, maybe you block out times in the morning. Maybe you wake up a little bit earlier just to, center yourself, to do some exercises that will help you to ground yourself so that you can be the best person that you want to be. Because if I hear someone saying, I don't have time, that to me, that immediately tells me that they're not really in control of what their day is like. And when we're working out of a place of out of control, that means that we're not really focusing and acknowledging our own power, right? We have the choice to be able to say, I am going to lock this time for self-care. I'm going to lock this time for work. I'm going to lock this time for my children. Or my friends. And we're being very deliberate and very intentional about our actions. And you'll start to realize that feeling of overwhelm and not enough time really starts to dissipate. And you'll be even more amazed at how productive you are without being stressed out. I mean, a lot of us are very goal oriented. We want things to happen. We think material things may be the things that we want, but ultimately, what I'm hearing is, well, I want to do all these things because they're essential to my life, but how do I make it work? When we make ourselves the focus, when we make our health the focus, when we make our well-being the focus, then all of those other things are attainable with less stress and with more joy.
That's amazing. That's really the whole cycle of life, and being happy and at peace with what you're doing, because sometimes what you're even running to do is stressing you out and you don't even know it. So
right.
There are so many practices people can think of. We've heard things like, making sure you're able to drink water. Very simple steps. So what are those things that people can think about while they make these decisions?
So, for instance, when you wake up in the morning, don't look at your phone. Okay? Go straight to the, take care of your bodily needs in the morning, right? Splash some water on your face. You can drink some warm water after you cleanse yourself and, cleanse your mouth and your ears and your eyes. All of these things that help us to perceive the world, right? Our hearing, our sight, our nose, and our mouth. We need to make sure that those are optimal. So you start with those things, right? Then, you do your exercising, whether it be some motions and circular motion with warm oil on your body, on your joints, and you do some prayer or meditation, whatever works for you. Then you go and you drink your water. After you've washed, then you drink your warm water. Because your body is now receptive to take in food now, because now it's ready. It's like you're warming up your engine, you're warming up your car. So simple steps are doing those things that I said, just cleansing your face, your nose, your ears, all of these things. Massaging your body, very simple. That'll take you 2 minutes, right? With some oil, some warm oil. Do some exercise, then take a shower, then get ready by drinking some water, some warm cereal. Always drink warm. Warm foods are so important. And just that little routine in the morning, I promise you, will change so much for your day. So if you can do those things, that's probably 20-30 minutes in the morning, then you'll start to see a change throughout your life, and then you can start incorporating diet and when to eat foods, what foods to eat, and stuff like that. But the simple steps are just getting up in the morning and being very intentional about cleansing yourself, praying, doing your thing, doing your meditation at the same time every day.
You mentioned warm, and I kind of got a little bit concerned because I take cold cereal. I like cold milk, so now I'm I don't like warm milk when I'm not drinking it, so it's kind of I'm just thinking about the audience, and I'm thinking about what they're probably thinking, and I'm what can you do? Is that a bad practice, or is that something that you should do less of?
That's a really good question, Faber, so I'm glad you brought that up. So in Ayurveda, we talk about there's 5 elements, right? So there's earth, there's water, there's air, there's fire, and there's space, okay? So all of those have qualities, and so their qualities, they're heavy, they're light, they're sharp. Those are the qualities that we have, that we intake into our bodies to help make our bodies warmer or colder, right? So we need to have what's called strong digestion in our bodies to be able to assimilate the food and then expel it, right? To ingest it, expel it. So that's the warm fire within our belly. That's that fire in your belly, right? So if you think about that, and you think about something that's cold, and you put something cold in your body, what happens? If we put something that's ice or anything that's cold, it will either diffuse or distinguish the fire, or it'll stagnate or stop any sort of natural movement from happening. We freeze things when we don't want them to rot, or we're trying to hold them for longer. If you want to cool down, you find foods that are actually cool in nature. Every food, everything that we put into our body has a warming or a cooling action. And you can feel that. Like, very simple. It's like pepper. You put pepper in your mouth, you feel hot. You put cucumber in your mouth, you feel cool, right? So if the effect is that you want to cool down or feel cool, then you find foods that are cooling. In terms of cold milk, I mean, maybe you don't like warm milk. I don't know, maybe you can add some sort of spices to it to help it feel cooler. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very, I hope you understand that concept.
Yeah, it makes sense. It really does, because it's not just about that one thing. It's about the whole entirety of how you conduct your practice.
Right, and what you're intaking. So,
right.
I'm assuming you don't like warm milk, because what does it make you feel like?
It feels gooey in my mouth.
It's gooey. Okay, so favor, the texture that you don't like. So maybe instead of the cold milk, maybe you can, maybe make it a little less cold, or, cold is really not good for the body. It's drinks. Unless you're super, if you have like a fever and you want to kind of like cool down, like if your body is so hot, you might want to do something cold. But generally speaking, it's going against your body. Our temperature is what, like 97 to 98, 99, depending on who you are. And anything that's going to stop the actual functioning of your body is actually detrimental to you.
Wow. So this goes for blood flow. This goes for mindset. Literally the whole system in its entirety. That's right. Now I'm wondering. Go ahead, because the question I have will probably answer what you're just about to say.
Okay, let's hear it.
I was gonna say, what about athletes? Do they drink? Because we don't know if they drink cold. I mean, we see them drinking water, but do they drink warm water or cold water? Because they're really like in that space, that heat of the moment.
So think about athletes, right? And so when you think of an athlete and you're thinking about why they're drinking water, when you drink water at that frequency, what's happening? Your body is overheating. Right? They're overexerting themselves. It's not like we're just hanging out in the day, we're working, we're doing stuff. If you're an athlete, you're at your optimal, you're pushing yourself, you're pushing your muscles, you're pushing everything. So when we talked about cold, what did we say? We said cold will actually freeze something or it'll stop something. So it's actually acting sometimes as a pain reliever, right? Because when we have swelling or inflammation, which is happening with all of the movement, you want something that's going to stop that because it's painful. And unfortunately, when you're being an athlete, there's a goal, right? The goal is to win or to perform something, right? So if you're that's the goal in mind. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
It's different. It's different than if you're, in your everyday life. I would recommend even for athletes to, just hydrate your body. I would say add external, oleation for the muscles. But in the moment, I'm thinking of like football players right now for some reason. I don't know why. I'm thinking of the big Gatorade things with the ice in it and all those things. But you have to think, those people who are like, there's a lot of pain happening in there. And there's a lot of inflammation. There's a lot of, things that, we don't necessarily experience on an everyday level.
Right.
Right?
Now it makes sense.
So that's an extreme.
Now it makes sense. That's why they take ice baths.
Yes, exactly. Because you have to stop all that swelling. Because that's so painful. All the constant, like the muscles are being torn. If you really think about it. That's why but it's said that, whenever you start feeling pain when you're doing an exercise, stop. Like your body's telling you, this is not working for me. Please don't do this. Please stop. And then people say, oh, go work through the pain and go to the... But why? Just go do it another time, a little bit longer. You've already gotten to that threshold. The next time you get to it, you're at that threshold. You will expand again. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll expand. But pushing yourself, then you have to wait 2 or 3 days to recover, and you're in pain, you can't move. You know what I mean? It's like... So in life, it's better to just do the best that you can in the space that you can without overexerting yourself to the point where you're exhausted, you're in pain, and you're uncomfortable. There's no need. There's no need for that in our lives. And that in and of itself, too, will go back to your first point of like, well, what if you feel like you have so much, you don't have time to do this, and you don't have, right? Why don't we have time? What are we really doing? And how is that affecting our mind, our body, our relationships, all of that. Our ability to be able to have children, our ability to be able to, interact with people without feeling super anxiety or having to take something to deal with our stress. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because when I'm thinking in all different directions as far as like health, what we do. Some people, I even got, just a side note, people talk about like how it's not good to have your laptop, especially for guys, on your laps because it's heat.
Yes, and that's so right. So what is that going to do? That's going to heat up that area where you can possibly, because the reason why your sacks are outside of your body is to keep it cool.
Right.
So like you have, and that's what. So cold is not bad. It depends on what you're using it for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you do have the laptops next to your genitals, you probably want to remove them. Anything that's going to counter the intended action is not beneficial, right?
Yeah, I see that a lot, because now it makes sense. And I used to do that back in the day, because when you have a big laptop, you want to just sit on it and look. But the older you get, the more mature you realize that, oh, this is actually bad for my health. That's why when you hear like, people low sperm counts or this and that, it didn't just happen that day. It's like a practice.
Right. Yes, and I love that you said that, because things happen over time, which is what I was just talking about too, right? That when you work out or when you're doing something, you get to this threshold and then you start again. So everything is gradual. Nothing is instant. Like we come from very instant, like you touch a button and something happens. You touch something and immediately. But no, like things gradually affect our bodies, like you said. And then they will gradually take time to reverse. So it's important to keep in mind too when you're trying to reverse that action.
Now, how does someone reverse an action like that when they've been doing it, not subconsciously, but just not knowing what they're doing because they didn't know any better?
So number one, once you're aware, then you stop. Right? You remove the causative factor. That's
right.
A very basic skill. I mean, it's not skill, but principle in Ayurveda. Number one, remove the causative factor. What is causing the problem? If once you remove that, typically the problem will stop, right? But if it's already having an effect on the body, then you want to, okay, so what are the qualities of so is it heating? So what do? We need to add more cooling to help to counter that. So in Ayurveda, so like increases like, right? If there's something that's cold and you add more cold, you'll have more cold. So to balance that, you add warmth. So you find the opposite quality of the thing that you'd like to have happen. So if it was heating, then you find herbs or actions that will help to cool it down, right, over time. And then the body will start, every 28 days, there are new cells that are being generated after, a certain amount of time, 4 to 6 weeks, we generally say, typically, if it hasn't gotten to the point where it's just damaged, But generally speaking, that's if something has been going on for years and years and years. But when I say years, I mean like decades, depending on the situation, actually, but generally speaking, yes, you can just have a counter or the opposite effect. So you do cooling herbs, you remove the laptop from your, from your lap.
Yeah, from your lap.
Yeah. And that's a great thing that I love about Ayurveda too. It's like someone might have the same condition or the same situation, but based on who you are individually, there might be a specific remedy for it, because everyone has their own body type. Right? Everyone has all of those elements that I told you about in our bodies. Like the earth is for structure, and the water is like the enzymes and the liquids that's in our body, and the fire is for being able to transform and process food, thoughts, emotions. And then you have the air that is our life force, right? And our energy, and it moves everything. And then you have space, which is space in our bones, space in the atoms that make up our bodies.
Yeah.
So each one of us has a varying level of those qualities in our body. And so based on that affects, what you like to eat, what your cravings may be, what illnesses you may have. So based on that, someone may have, again, we're dealing with if we're talking about low sperm count, what is their body type? How can we deal with that too? So that that could also be affecting how we treat the person. And that's why Ayurveda is very unique. It's a very personalized practice where you really take in the person's lifestyle, their prakriti, which is called their body constitution, your tongue analysis, your pulse, what time you're sleeping, your environment that you're in, your emotional and mental support. All of those factors are included in when we see someone and we say, okay, this is your situation. That's very unique. No two people are the same. And so based on this, we're going to give you these remedies or these therapies for yourself.
That's amazing. I think we're talking about something that's so important that people forget. And when they realize that it was a problem in the beginning, they would have known better. And even now with like we talked about working out and athletes, if we think about like taking cold showers, for example, those are the things that nobody likes. Even those people who probably like it probably don't like it, the first time. So is that something that you only do, like if you've worked out or if you had that high intensity like you talked about, or you just wake up in the morning, drink warm water and go right into a cold shower?
Yeah, no. So, again, the showering happens before you start drinking or eating anything. And you never want to start with hot water on your head. And if you're going to do anything cold, you start below, right? I'm sorry, if you're doing anything cold, you start with your head. You can do cold water on your head, but warm for your body. So in terms of extremes, cold or hot, can you take a lukewarm shower? Does that make sense? I know people think it might help them. People sometimes do it in therapy, like they'll take a hot shower and then they'll take cool to bring everything down. I'm having a feeling that I may have missed your question.
You're actually spot on, because when I'm thinking about what people do, because sometimes people just do it because they just have to do it and just take cold showers for that sake, but they don't know what that's doing for them. And then some people just take hot showers because they just love a hot shower, but you don't know that it's over time doing what the laptop is doing. So it's like, that kind of dichotomy effect.
Yeah, there's so much out there that we may or may not know. And it's just about researching, right? And it's just about speaking, having these podcasts and, understanding and finding if you're really serious about your health and your longevity and, how it affects yourself. And maybe if you're preparing to have a family, are your bodies in tune? Are your bodies healthy? Because our cells and our sperm cells and our ovaries, the health of those create the child, right? So we want to make sure that you're at your optimal health and that your body is cleansed before you start having children.
But some people don't even know this. That's why I don't know why this even came, because it's something that we hear every day, but it's never paid attention to. And we're talking about wellness and whole being and daily morning practices. We like 52 weeks a year. So I'm just thinking what people are already doing that they're like, oh, so that's me,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there's an awareness that's happening right now. People are like, okay, well, we've just had this whole year where everything's shut down, right? And health was at the pinnacle of all of our thoughts and actions. And what does health mean to you? I think hopefully this will start people doing some research about the kind of care that they want to have for themselves and their families and the life that they want to live. I don't really know how else, people will know about it until they actually choose to learn, right?
Right.
It's like, that's what I love so much. It's like, I tell people all the time, it's your choice. Until you are committed to make a change, until you are committed to do something different in your life, then nothing is going to change. We can tell you left and right what to do. But until you say, okay, I'm ready. Okay, I'm choosing this. There's really nothing you can do. I mean, we can tell people all the time, like, do this, do this, do this, do this. But until someone says, okay, consciously, like, I'm ready to do this, I'm ready to learn. And that's what they always say too, right? When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah.
You know that saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. It plays a huge role in everything we do. And it just involves, our daily routines, what we eat, how we eat, how many times we eat. Those things really matter. You can't be eating 15 times a day expecting to lose 10 pounds in a week. It's not logical,
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And just if we're talking about food that way, the best time to have your largest meal is and when the sun is the highest in the sky, right? We talked about the fire and the metabolism and all that. So that's when there's the most energy in the world around us, because we're not just these silos. We're not in silos. We are affected by. We're floating around a star. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there are energies affecting everything that we do. We're on a planet that is rotating. It's like there are so many other elements and factors involved in everything that we do. And when we're in tune with it and we're not fighting it, like when we're eating when the sun is highest in the sky, when we're, depending on where you are, because some people don't have sun, for 24 hours, or for 16 hours, depending on where you are. But
where is that?
In the north or in the South Pole, right? Like they only have 4 hours or day hours, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
But I'm talking about if you're near the equator. So but even so, you do want to live your life according to the circadian rhythm, right? There is a circadian rhythm that governs this planet, that governs the universe. And once we're in tune with nature and we are waking up when the sun is rising or before the sun rises, when we're eating when the sun is highest in the sky, when we're eating before or shortly after our lightest meal after the sun sets, because we don't have that much energy afterward, because it's now going into night and cool, right? So there's not that much fire, there's not that much heat to transform the food that we've eaten, right?
It just changed my whole mindset right now, literally, because as I'm listening to you, I'm also thinking the sun is the highest in the sky probably midday, and that's lunchtime. And that's when kids also eat. That's why they get active, and that's why they go to sleep. So it's like, what are we talking about? Wow, this is coming full back.
Now also reverse that, right? So that same energy in terms of transformation. So the day is, in Ayurveda, the day is divided into 6 different times. Well, 3 different times, but if you talk about it from morning and night. So from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. is what we call the kapha time, which is the heavy time with the earth and the water. So things are a little slower. We take our time. You're getting ready for the day. It's more about structure. The highest time is from 10 to 2. That's pitta. That's the fire. That's the transformation. That's all the things that are happening. Then from 2 to 6, that's vata. So things are a little more spacey, and that's when you're more social. That's when there is the ability to be able to have meetings. Actually, those are the best times. During 10 to 2 are actually not the best times, because people get really fiery, they're hungry, they're hangry. We talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at night, people feel at 10 o'clock is when we really should be going to bed. But sometimes people feel like they get their second wind, because that's when the pitta, the energy is coming up again.
Right.
But that time is not supposed to be for us to actually be up. It's for us to actually, while we're resting, is the body is saying, okay, we've ingested what all day, not only physically, but what have we mentally ingested, what have we emotionally experienced, and how. And so from that time, from 10 to 2, typically during that time, that's when we're metabolizing all of that, and we're saying, does our body need this, does our body not need this, right? So when we're not sleeping during those times, our body doesn't have the chance to be able to metabolize all of what we've just taken in for the day. So if we don't have that time to metabolize it, then we start creating something that's called amma, which is toxins, right? Things that are not metabolized, undigested, thoughts, emotions, food. And then that starts to build up and build up and build up and build up. And that's when you start to have conditions that like diseases and conditions that are out of balance. You start to gain weight, because you're not digesting the food and it's swelling it properly. Your mind isn't clear. Sometimes insomnia, sometimes depressions, all kinds of stuff, heart problems. I mean, they're all associated. When we're not in tune with the rhythms of the universe, this is what's happening. Can you start seeing it now?
This is big. Like, people gonna look outside themselves and be like, wow, I've really been living in my own little bubble for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, it's safe that way, right? Because we think we have control over that on some level, right? That's okay, but we have to be aware that, like, we are living in how big is this universe?
It's huge. We keep saying that it's a small world, but it's a really big world,
It's small because we experience the same things.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We all are going through the same cycles. We can relate to people because we're all going through the same things on a lot of levels. We know a lot of the same people, especially if we're vibrating at a certain, like, we are attracted to certain things. Typically, we'll find people like that, right? Like finds like attracts like.
Right.
That's what it is. So yeah, you're right. It can be small, in that sense, and it's also really big. It's everything and nothing at the same time.
Exactly. I think it really makes sense, because when you start thinking about your health, how you feel, even your own weight, like when you walk, do you feel like you're touching the ground on like a rock solid foundation, or are you just like tapping it? Like, you feel a certain type of way when you do things.
Well, that's the thing. So there are certain. Are you talking to me or in general?
No, in general.
Yeah. So it depends, right? So we talked about those qualities again. It always comes back to those qualities.
Yeah.
Is it light? Is it heavy? Is it moving? So if you have a lot of light, heavy motion, you probably feel not grounded. Probably feel like you're just floating around, right?
Right.
And feel really heavy and lethargic, then you probably feel like you're just like, right? So it all depends on what's happening within your body. That's a really good question. And that's also how we measure someone's gait, how they move, in terms of what's going on with them. Like if they're like,
yeah,
you can tell someone's health by how they walk and how they, what's happening. So in terms of what you feel like when you're walking on the ground, that's why it's so important to walk barefoot on earth as much as you can too. When's the last time you had your feet in grass?
Especially being inside for a long time, yeah, that's a long time for a lot of people.
Yeah, if you can just go to a park or something and just take your shoes off, or wash your feet afterwards, but like just literally put your feet in the ground, there's a different feeling, right? It's very grounding, and there are a lot of theories around what that does for the body and the grounding effect. And then obviously there are grounding exercises that you can do, breathing exercises that you can do. There are certain movements you can do with your body to help ground you. If you're feeling like you're too spacey, but if you feel like you need to get lighter, there's certain things that you can do too. There's like something for everything. That's why I love Ayurveda so much, and also not just Ayurveda, because every culture has their own healing practices, right? Every culture has its own innate way, like a mom, when they have their child, and if they have grandmothers or other people around them, and not just mom, but like the nurturer or the family, we have an innate knowledge that is within us, and we have to. The way that we are able to tap into it is when we're quiet, when we do the meditation, when we're praying, right? When we start to be quiet inside, and we can feel and intuitively say, okay, this is what's next. Okay, this is what's next, or this is what's next. And so people typically would use different herbs and different bushes and different things around them that they, over time, realize this affects. If someone's sick or has a fever, let's give them this plant. Or if someone's sick or here, let's give them this. And then, as time has gone on, it's been modernized and things have been extracted from the actual plants. But it's nice to have the entire plant, or to not have this one part extracted. You might use the seed, or you may use the bark, or you might use the root of a plant, because they all have different qualities too, but it's in its whole form, right, that you're taking it, as opposed to just extracting the active ingredient. Yeah.
No, it definitely makes a lot of sense because yeah, you're thinking about back in the day how people used to like treat themselves. You know, those self-treatment practices, we don't do them today. We just run to Kroger, we run to CVS, we run to Google. You know, we don't have that we don't have that natural exposure like they used to.
Yeah, and they also were more in tune with, a lot of times people were not staying up all night. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and not to say that's, well, I don't want to judge that because, people stay up late, they party, there's a whole industry around this.
Yeah.
So, like, that's real. But we're talking about really how things affect our bodies that affect us and, what our goals are, in life. We have to think about all of those things. So, yeah, back in the day, they would use those naturally. But I think that's what people are starting to question these days, right? Or people are talking about living clean. That's a big, line that people are using, like clean food, clean diet, clean life, mental illness, mental wellness, self-care. Those are buzzwords that are around now, especially after the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so how do we maintain those? How do we attain that? How do we practice that, and how do we share that?
And I think this is where
you are a web of wellness.
Yeah.
A web of wellness is just, it's not just our health. It's like mental, financial, spiritual. Like that's the whole web of wellness. We need to have all of those things balanced in our lives for us to feel and be the best that we can, our optimal selves.
Yeah. This is perfect because literally as you were speaking that's what, like, we're in sync at this moment because I was thinking wellness and I was thinking you have to tell them what you have because what we've talked about for the last few minutes is literally the answer to your problems once this is given to you. So I want you to take the floor and let people know what's this exciting thing that they can use to transform themselves starting whenever they're ready.
Yeah, I mean, we have different packages. We have bundles that address different conditions that we may be having. Typically, like, for instance, we have what's called, for men and women, we have a men's bundle and a women's bundle. So the men's bundle is a general men's health. And that includes mind health. So it deals with helping to, there are adaptogens that are inside of the herbal blend that we have that assists with positive thoughts, really, really helping, and also mental clarity. Then we have what's called stamina, which is, we talked about this earlier, about sperm count and just reproductive health. So it helps with energy. In the morning, it's called, you would take that in the morning, and then we have something that's very important, which is called colon health. So it really helps to expel anything that is not digested properly, and if anything is stuck, it helps to have you want to have easy and a healthy colon. So for men, we have the mind health, the stamina, and the colon health. And then for women, we have we have what's rejuvenation, which is also reproductive health and also helps with energy. Then we have metabolism boost. So with women, as we get older, sometimes our metabolism might change if we have children, if we don't, based on our food, our stress levels. So it helps to really ignite that and to help with weight loss or weight management. So it really gets the metabolism going. Women are very emotional, and so are men, but generally speaking, a lot of times women are not just only taking care of ourselves, but we're taking care of families. So we're not only taking care of our emotions. I mean, men are as well. I don't want to say one is more than the other. But if we're talking about nurturing roles, that is the case. So metabolizing all of those emotions, feelings, and food. And then we have Vital Woman, which is really talks about hormonal balance. And, as we progress through life, making sure that we have the proper herbs to help keep us balanced and go through each one of the stages of our development in a healthy and calm and productive way. And those are just the men and women's. We also have the daily routine kit that I was talking about, bundle, which it helps with there's something called nausea, which helps nasal cleanse, which helps to clear your nostrils so that you can smell, helps with any sort of congestion, any sort of sinuses, things like that. Then we have the gum and tooth powder, which is made from neem and like all these wonderful herbs. And then, then we have the massage oil that I was telling you about that we do every single day. And then we have the swish oil that really helps to like clean up. People do like, I'm not sure if you've heard, people do a coconut for like 20, sometimes between 2 and 20 minutes.
Okay.
Then there's a deep sleep bundle, which is really great if someone is having a hard time falling asleep. There's golden milk, which helps. I know you don't like warm milk, but you can cool it down a little bit, but it's great at night. And with some turmeric, and it really helps to calm the mind down. And so good sleep is being able to detach your mind from the body and to rest. Sleep is that, really, right? Is being able to detach from what is going on in the day and really to just rest our eyes. If you think about it, right? We're literally leaving our mind. We're detaching from our mind. When we are not, that's when we have the restless nights and we have the, we can't think, we're dreaming, our dreams are all over the place. So these herbs and this oil actually in your hair to do a massage oil. So if you do what's called Shiro Abhyanga, you do head massages at night, just rubbing the top of your head, sides of your head, the back, rubbing your hands and your feet. Those are all the nerve endings, and there are different what we call marma points in each one of those areas. You stimulate those. Those will help you induce sleep. Just get a good night's sleep so your body can do this regeneration and you can wake up restful and do all that you need to do. We have several bundles that you can find on our website and webofwellness.com. But we're also having a grand opening, and so we have some specials that you'll start seeing soon. I really am so grateful that you asked me to come here to share this information. It's like it's my duty, really, to have information that is going to help people, and not share it.
Exactly. You're most welcome. This is something that people need to know, because as we're getting back out in the world, as we're getting back to traveling and doing different things that make us feel alive and make us feel home, just feel like yes, I feel accomplished. Yes, I feel like today was a good day. These are the things that when you start with, I think the overall day and actually your overall life experience becomes even more worthwhile when you take care of those little things that do matter.
Yes. Yeah, because they start to build up over time. Yeah.
Wow. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Kadi. If there's any way someone may want to reach out to you, like personally, maybe get in contact with you, is there a way they can reach out to you, or they just go straight to the website? What's your best info for them?
Go to the website at webofwellness.com. They can find me on Instagram at a Web of Wellness. They can call me at my business number, which is 323-301-3635. I do free 15-minute consultations where we really just sit and we do an introductory discovery call, and we see if we, if I can help you, or and how that works. If we're a good match, and and I love sharing this information. So if anyone is out there would like for me to come and discuss this on their platform, I would be open to that. I do educational videos as well. So there are tons of ways for us to be able to connect. Any partnerships, if you have any organizations where they need anyone to come speak about this, I'm open to that as well. We're partnering right now with an organization that serves underserved Black and Brown communities who, especially in LA, 31% of Black and Brown community is like obese. 31% of the people who are obese are Black or Latino in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And so we already know comorbidities and we know all of that. So we're working with some families to help with these practices, with Community Build, which is a group here that is associated with actually the city of Los Angeles, and then the wonderful organization that jump-started this with us, which is the Harris Bakur Family Foundation. And I'm really grateful to them to be able to offer that to families who may not have access to this kind of work, because this is not something that is, unfortunately, insurance doesn't pay for this yet. But we're lobbying the state of California, just like Chinese medicine did, so that this is something that insurance can cover. But if people actually have like their FSA or their HSA accounts, they can have our services. And we also do telehealth as well. So you don't have to be in Los Angeles to see me. I have clients all over the world, actually. So Yeah, there are many ways to be able to contact me and connect with me. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I want people to reach out. I want people to contact you. I want people to think about their lives and make that informative executive decision that, okay, I've heard everything. Now I need to make that change. And if I don't start now, it's going to affect my family. It's going to affect my health. And I need to start thinking about this now. So that's why I wanted people to really know how they can get in contact with you, because this is an emergency for people, you know.
No, really, it is. I mean, if we don't have our health, then what do we have?
Exactly. We are what we feed ourselves. You know. When they say you are what you eat, dress the way you want to be addressed. It's the way you conduct yourself, how you look, and those things really go a long way. So this has really been a 101 for people to really get back in shape. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. And it all starts here and in your heart. It starts right there. These are the two areas where it starts. When these two connect, you'll start to see everything will be very clear.
Awesome.
So I actually have to go to the clinic right now.
Exactly. Thank you so much for being here. We know your time is precious, and we really appreciate you.
I really appreciate you too. I'm so glad that we met. Clubhouse is a great thing.
Facts.
Thanks to Toyin, that was great for that.
Shout out to Toyin too. All right then. You're welcome. Take it easy.
You too. All the best.
Oh, you thought I left? Oh no, I'm still here. I'm still here. Did you hear that? Did you hear what Kadi just said? Kadiatou Sibi, an amazing person. Like, I can't wait for you guys to meet her. Like, there's a video where you just heard everything is going to be available in the premium section. So I'm really telling you, if you want to join the premium podcast, make sure you're able to check wedon'tplay.supercast.tech and see what we got going on. Make sure you're able to pick your subscription. Start now, because it's going to be so important for you to literally look at all the episodes you've been watching, listening to, and then rewatching them and seeing their faces. Can you imagine how that feeling is? That's why we saved this for the last. So welcome to the 200th episode. It's so exciting to have you here, and make sure you're able to tune in and visit our website. By the way, I was going to give you 3 websites, but I was going to give you, no, you know what? Yeah, let me just give you all 3 websites. So check out flavbeats.com, check out workandplayentertainment.com, and then check out playinc.online. Those 3 websites are going to take you far. So make sure you're able to check them out. I love you all. Have an amazing day. God bless you. And check out Kadiatou Sibi's products. Make sure you're able to check in a webofwellness.com. Don't forget that. And play this episode again. Bye for now.